So today's demo is on a web part called as the Summarizer web part. This is built using something called as Chrome's built-in AI Summarizer API that uses Gemini Nano. So before we look into the demo, I have a few slides to quickly go through the Chrome built-in AI feature. Let's understand that and then look at the demo. So imagine a scenario wherein we've got our laptop or our PC in which we have an app, a web application or a standalone application which uses artificial intelligence. So in order to work with artificial intelligence. Let's stick with AI. In order to work with AI, what it does is it communicates with a server in cloud that uses AI. So the application sends the data that it needs responses for to this server, which uses AI, and then that server then communicates with an LLM, which has all the knowledge, and then the server sends the response back to the app. So that's how AI applications work. So these AI-related operations can be anything from answering questions like using ChatGPT or Gemini, translation of text, data analysis, summarization of the content, proofreading, image and video analysis, and so on. Now, some of these, like the four that I've highlighted here, translation of the text, summarization, proofreading, and language detection. Now, these are kind of lightweight AI operations. So these can be done on the server side, i.e., the data goes up to the server, these operations get done on the server, and then the response is returned. However, with our laptops or machines with high performance, these operations can be done on the machine itself. So basically, instead of doing all these operations on the server side, why can't we do them on the client side? So that was the thought, considering cost and latency. And also it speeds up the process for the users. So with that in mind, there's a feature that is built into Chrome, newer versions of Chrome, which is called Chrome built-in AI. So essentially, what happens is, let's say a user opens a website and requests an operation, can be translation or summarization. When that operation is requested, Chrome, with this built-in AI feature, downloads the Gemini Nano model, which is about 2 or 3 gigabytes onto the machine, and then the operation, the AI operation, which is translation, is done by this model that has been downloaded, and the result is obtained. Now, with the advantages are, if there's any sensitive data that is processed locally, so it's not being sent to the server, the user experience is faster because the AI operations get done locally. And then, greater access to the AI, so client side first, and then if needed, if the client is not able to make those operations, then we can send it to the server. And then, of course, there is offline access as well. Now, this is not a replacement for server-side AI. This is like some of the operations, instead of doing on the server side, can be done on the client side. And there is a link to the Chrome built-in AI, which has all the details on when it should be used and how. That will be posted in the chat later. Right. With that, let's look at a demo of this web part. So if I go to this particular page, so here we've got a SharePoint page with some content, and let's say if we want to get a quick summary of that, then we've got this button. I click on that. Now, essentially, it uses AI to do the summary and then give us back the results. Now, the results here were very quick because, of course, the summary is cached. So I have generated the summary before and then stored it into a list. But if I click on regenerate summary, then what happens is it uses Chrome built-in AI to do the summary. Now, the machine that I'm using today is not that powerful. Unfortunately, the other machine of mine is under maintenance. So that's why what I've done is I've taken a couple of GIF recordings from the demo that I ran earlier. So over here, when we click on summarize article, as you see, what happens is the first thing it does is it downloads that model if it does not exist. This is only a one-time operation, and then uses the browser API to summarize the article and then provides the summary. So once we get the summary, what we are doing in the web part is we are just storing that summary in a list so that whenever someone who wants to see the summary, it just is obtained from the list. Now, as you can see, only the first time the model gets downloaded. However, this GIF shows that if we click on regenerate summary, then because the model is already generated, already downloaded, the operation just regenerates the summary. Right. Now, another feature is this summary can be is multilingual. So here you can see I have logged in as a user whose language is set to Italian, and the summary that is generated is in Italian. So if Fabio is on the call, he can validate whether the summary is correct. Right. Now going back to the presentation. So these built-in APIs, these AI APIs, there are quite a few of them. So translator, summarizer, writer, rewriter, prompt API, and proofreader as well. So the links to these will be provided later. So essentially what happens is if we have a particular version of Chrome, I think probably 146 and above, then these APIs will be available in the browser. So by that, what I mean is if we go to the browser console and then type in, say, summarizer or language detector, you should see them come up. Now, as far as I know, currently it is available only in Chrome, but in the future, Chromium-based browsers might get it as well. There is some proposal on making this standardized so that it should be available for other browsers as well. But essentially, if we have a particular version of Chrome, 146 and above, I think, then these APIs will be available, and we can access them through the browser console, which means we can use them in our code as well. Right. So this demo is about Summarizer API. So let's concentrate only on that. Again, this is a screenshot from the Chrome built-in AI API article. So what happens here is, in order to use the Summarizer, we first set some options. So this is an object in which we define what the article is about, what type of summary do we want, what's the format do we want in, and what's the length. And then the first thing is we check whether the summarizer is available within the browser. If it is, then we go ahead and create that summarizer. So essentially, here are a few more details on the type and the length that you can specify. So type is set to key points over here, but we've got some more options like TLDR, teaser, and headline, and then the length can be changed as well. Once we create the summarizer, the next step is use that summarizer in order to summarize the text. So the method is summarizer.summarize, and then we pass in whatever text we want. So in this case, in the demo that we saw earlier, it was the content of the page that we pass to this summarizer.summarize method, and then we can give it some more context as well, so that we get an accurate summary. So the idea here is, as the editors of the page, they go ahead and create the summary of the page, and as the reader of the page. They just consume the summary. Um, right. Now let's look into the code for this web part. This is all present in the PNP SPF SPDevFX web parts repository. So I won't go through all the elements of the code. I'll just show the important elements. So in this web part, we've got a hook called as use summarizer, a React hook. And in that, like we saw earlier, the first thing we do is we check whether the summarizer is available. If it is not available, then we just throw an error. Whereas if it is available, then what we do is we define the summarizer options. So in this case, the type, format, and the length, these get passed from the web part properties. And there are some default values as well. And you can see that there are some options related to summarizer languages as well. So the web part detects the language of the current of the logged in user, and then sets the summarizer options. So once the options are set, what we do is we go ahead and download the model if it is not already downloaded. This is a one-time operation. Takes the time it takes depends on the network speed, but it's usually really fast. And then once that is downloaded, we go ahead and create the summarizer like we saw earlier. We create the summarizer with all the options that we specified. And the next step is we go ahead and use Microsoft Graph API to get the content of the page. We'll look at that function in a minute. Once we have the page content, we then simply pass it to summarizer.summarize function. In this case, we are using streaming. That's why there's a function called summarizer.summarize streaming. But if the streaming is disabled, then we can just use the summarizer.summarize function. That then returns the summary in say bullet points or TLDR or whatever is the option that we have specified. And we simply go ahead and display that summary. We'll look at displaying that summary soon, but before that, let's take a look at this. Getting the page content using Graph API. Now, Microsoft Graph has got the SharePoint Pages API. That's the one we are using here. We get the page ID and the site ID. That is then passed to the Graph API. Now, I could have created another React hook for Microsoft Graph, which is, I think, the one of the good ways of separating the code, because all the graph-related operations can be separated out. But here we are using only one graph operation. That's why I put it in the same hook. But essentially, what this does is uses the Pages API to look at the text web parts within that page and gets the inner HTML of those text web parts, and then that is the content of the page essentially, which is then passed to the summarizer API. And then to display the summary, we've got this React component called as summarize page content. It has got a render summary method, and all that does is gets the summary from the hook that we saw earlier, and then does some formatting and uses simple divs in order to display that summary. And that's how it looks. Right. Here are a couple of links that were used as part of this demo. The first one is the information on Chrome built-in AI APIs, and the other one is the link to the web part. That's it from my side.